Hello everyone, I'm Ginaldo B. Screen Portier. Before anything else, let me introduce my group mates: Paraluan, Fernandez, Subidogan, Ormelia, Pasis, Carbonel, Garcia, and Laura. So for today, I'm going to discuss child pornography. Child pornography. So pamilyar naman tayo sa RA 10175 dahil ito po ang highlights ng aking subject, which is cybercrime. Andun po sa Republic Act na to ay kabilang ang ating main topic, which is child pornography. Aside po sa RA 10175, meron naman po tayong law which is directly addressing the child pornography. Ito po yung RA 9775, known as the Act Defining the Crime of Child Pornography, prescribing penalties therefore and for other purposes. Child pornography law. Since ang child pornography ay isang crime or offense, meron po itong karampatang parusa na umaayon sa law patungkol sa issue na ito. Ang crime pong ito ay naghahanap through online, through internet. Maari po itong isang files, video, or picture na naglalaman ng malalaswang visual ng mga minor, mga 18 pababa.
What is child pornography? Child pornography is any portrayal of a youngster or anyone who seems to be a minor engaging in sexual or sexually related activities deemed child pornography. Pictures, movies, and computer-generated content all fall under this category. Child pornography includes anything that alters a picture or video to make it look as though it belongs to a minor. Sa madaling salita, ang child pornography ay nangyayari lamang kapag ang under 18 years old na bata ay nasangkot sa di kaaya-ayang mga pangyayari o sitwasyon tulad ng paggawa ng video na nakahubad or picture na habang nakahubad.
Defense to child pornography charges. Perhaps the most compelling defense to child pornography allegation is that the defendant had no idea what he or she was downloading or accessing was child pornography, and that the material possession or receipt was unintentional. Individuals may unintentionally obtain child pornography when downloading a movie or TV program from file sharing website. They may download a movie or TV show from file sharing website and acquire something unlawful. The best defense in these circumstances is that the component of the crime were not satisfied because the acquired state of mind for criminal behavior was not there.
Unlawful or prohibited acts, labag sa batas o pinagbabawal na gawain. Letter A. To hire, employ, use, persuade, induce, or coerce a child to perform in the creation or production of any form of child pornography. Upang kumuha, gumamit ng paghikayat, himukin o pilitin ng isang bata na gumanap sa paglikha o paggawa ng anumang anyo ng child pornography. Letter B. To produce, direct, manufacture, or create any form of child pornography. Upang makagawa, magdirekta o gumawa o lumikha ng anumang anyo ng child pornography. Letter C. To publish, offer, transmit, sell, distribute, broadcast, advertise, promote, export, or import any form of child pornography. Mag-publish ng alok, magpadala, magbenta, mamahagi, mag-broadcast, mag-advertise, mag-promote, mag-export, o mag-import ng anumang anyo ng child pornography. Letter D. To possess any form of child pornography with the intent to sell, distribute, publish, or broadcast, provided that possession of 3 or more articles of child pornography of the same form shall be prima facie evidence of the intent to sell, distribute, publish, or broadcast. Letter E. to knowingly, willfully, and intentionally provide a venue for the commission of prohibited acts as, but not limited to dens, private rooms, cubicles, cinemas, houses, or in establishment purporting to be a legitimate business. Letter F. For film distributors, theaters, and telecommunication companies by themselves or in corporation with other entities to distribute any form of child pornography.
Balin?
Sige, sige.
For a parent legal guardian for person having custody or control of a child to knowingly permit the child to engage, participate, or assist in any form of a child pornography. H. To engage in the learning of grooming of a child. I. To engage in the pandering of any form to child pornography. G. To willfully access any form child pornography. K. To conspire to commit any of the prohibited acts state in the section conspiracy to commit any form of child pornography should be commitment when two or more person come to agreement concerning the commission of any of the said prohibited acts and decided to commit in and I L to possess any form of child pornography.
We have 10 who may file a complaint or 10 maaring magsampa ng reklamo. A. Offender party. B. Or parents or guardian. C. Ascendant or collateral relatives within the third degree of consanguinity. D. Officer, social worker, or representative of the licensed child caring institution. E. Officer or social worker of the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD. F. Local Social Welfare Development Officer. G. Barangay Chairman. H. Any law enforcement officer. I. At least 3 concerned representative responsible citizen residing in the place where the violation occurred. And J. Any person who has personal knowledge of the circumstances of the commission of any offense under this act.
Good afternoon, ma'am. John Michael Basis, Group 6, Child Pornography. Care, custody, and treatment of a child victim. Ang DSWD ang magsisigurado ng kaligtasan at pag-recover ng victim sa dinanas na karahasan. And the child and his family mabibigyan ng protection under Republic Act No. 6981. Mas kilala sa tawag na Witness Protection, Security, and Benefit Act. At ang bata ay kinukonsindera na victim ng violent crime under Section 3 of Republic Act 7309. Mas kilala na sa tawag na Creating of a Board of Claims under the Department of Justice for victims of unjust imprisonment or detention and the victims of violent crime and for other purposes. Yun lang po, ma'am.
Any person found guilty of syndicated child pornography as defined in Section 5 of this Act shall suffer the penalty of reclusion perpetua and a fine of none less than 2 million pesos, but not more than 5 million pesos. Any person found guilty of violating Section 4, A, B, and C of this act shall suffer the penalty of reclusion temporal in its maximum period and a fine of not less than 1 million pesos, but not more than 2 million. Any person found guilty of violating Section 4D E, and F of this act shall suffer the penalty of reclusion temporal in its medium period and a fine of not less than 750,000 pesos but not more than 1 million pesos. Any person found guilty of violating Section 4G of this act shall suffer the penalty of reclusion temporal in its minimum period and a fine of not less than 500,000 pesos but not more than 700,000 pesos. Any person found guilty of violating Section 4H of this act shall suffer the penalty of prison mayor in its maximum period and a fine of not less than 300,000 pesos but not more than 500,000 pesos. Any person found guilty of violating Section 4 of this act shall suffer the penalty of prison mayor in its minimum period and a fine of not less than 300,000 pesos but not more than 500,000.
Good day everyone, my name is John Philip L. Aurora, BS Criminology 4. Penalties and Sanction of Child Pornography. Any ISP found guilty of willingly and knowingly failing to comply with the notice and installation requirements under Section 9 of this Act shall suffer the penalty of a fine or not less than 500,000 but not more than 1 million pesos. For the first offense, in case of a subsequent offense, the penalty shall be fine of not less than 2 million pesos and revocation of its license to operate. All mall owner, operator, and owner or lessor of other business establishment, including photo developer, information technology professional, credit card companies, and banks, found guilty of willfully and knowingly failing to comply with the notice requirement under Section 10 of this Act shall suffer the penalty of fine of less than 1 million pesos, but more than 2 million pesos for the first offense. Any person found guilty of violating Section 13 of this Act shall suffer the penalty of arresto mayor in its maximum period and a fine of not less than 100,000 pesos, but not more than 300,000 pesos of fine.
Hello, ma'am. This is Nelja Trocarborel from BS Criminology, third year. I will discuss the some part of penalties under child pornography. So let's start. Any person found guilty of violating Section 4, letter I, of this Act shall suffer the penalty of prison mayor in its minimum period and a fine of not less than 300,000 pesos but not more than 500,000 pesos. Next, any person found guilty of violating Section 4, letter J, of this Act shall suffer the penalty of prison correctional in its maximum period and a fine of not less than 200,000 pesos but not more than 300,000 pesos. Next, any person found guilty of violating Section 4, letter K of this Act shall suffer the penalty of prison correctional in its medium period and a fine of not less than 100,000 pesos but not more than 250,000 pesos. Next, any person found guilty of violating Section 4, letter L of this shall suffer the penalty of arresto mayor and its minimum period and a fine of not less than 50,000 pesos but not more than 100,000 pesos. Next, any person found guilty of violating Section 11 of this Act shall suffer the penalty of prison correctional in its medium period and a fine not less than 1 million pesos but not more than 2 million pesos for the first offense. In the case of subsequent offense, The penalty shall be a fine not less than 2 million pesos, but not more than 3 million pesos, and revocation of its license to operate and immediate closure of the establishment.